up, fam? Happy Saturday. Welcome back to the book club. Y'all know the vibes. We are diving into and finishing up The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. Uh, I just want to give glory and gratitude to God just because this book has honestly done something serious to my mentality over the last 3 years. But like reading it in this current season of my life, it's just reassured me that I'm doing the right things, and um, the difficulties and the challenges come with the process. And for those who haven't read it, or for those that have read parts of it, I urge you guys to read it in its entirety. It has profoundly changed my perspective and my paradigm. And I just wanted to share a few little things as I pull up here in the next 4 minutes to my shift. But really quickly, we're covering the last few chapters in the epilogue. Chapter 15, 16, and 17, and then the very ending thoughts that the author had. So in terms of chapter 15, right, when he is bringing up how to get people to like you, I think it's just funny because he was basically saying, like, if people say that they don't care about people liking them, they're lying. Because it's something that we all desire. It's like an innate human nature to be appreciated, to be accepted. I thought it was very interesting that I don't know how I forgot about this poll that they did in terms of the scientists doing with the study, but how majority of high schoolers wanted to be popular, and amongst older people, they wanted to be liked and appreciated by their associates. This never really goes away. And I love, again, like how he's always referencing the Bible and how the Bible knows people very well because it's the word of God. So he was just letting individuals be reminded through scripture that you shouldn't let it bother you too intensely whenever people don't like you, because not everybody's going to. But one of the most powerful parts of what he was talking about is understanding how to be somebody that people can be comfortable around. And I feel like over the last year, as I reflect on my life, I had to swallow a pretty annoying pill that I have not been a comfortable person to be around. I hold a higher level of standard and accountability that rubs people off in a specific type of way, especially as I've been working on elevating my lifestyle and my network and my association so that I can really create the lifestyle that I want for my family and my loved ones. So one of the things that he reminded me of is to take inventory, right? Like, be brutally honest with yourself about the things that are amazing about your personality, but also the things that you struggle with, so that as you work towards it, you can actively people can literally feel at ease with. You can be able to confide within. And I feel like over the last 6 months, I've been working on honestly not forfeiting my standards while being more comfortable to be around. And it's been a wild dynamic that I've been navigating, but I'm getting better at. And one of the cool ways that I've been implementing that process more intentionally is how he talks about praying for others. So being and actually moving your focus from yourself into those that are around you makes all the difference. And I appreciate God for that. In terms of heartache, he really talked about just giving way into grief. I wish Miss Caroline Grace was on this call because she'd definitely be able to get some more insight into that. But especially as a man, this front that you can't grieve, like whether it's relationships, a death in the family. But if you understand that eternity is given to those who accept and believe in Jesus Christ, and you've done your part and you've prayed and you've been there for people, then there's nothing that will get in the way from them living in eternity. And you can face the struggles and situations that you have within your own heart and be able to be at peace with where you're at. And then my last kind of take in terms of chapter 17 was essentially boom, where he was talking about how to draw upon the higher power, is towards the end of the chapter. He just talked about, being able to actively giving in. Oh, hold on. Almost there. Just want to make sure I have it in there. If you were not so, I would have told you that you can hold on to the right of Christ. I guess this is before chapter 7, but like just seeking and understanding that He is within you, and then knowing that you can call upon Him at any time has been able to allow make moves in my life that if I didn't, and in the process, understanding that He controls everything and He's outlined everything for me. There's been some situations, especially over this past week, that have gone against my expectations or what I thought. And I told myself I would stop being surprised about being surprised, right? And He will basically reminded me, like, God will test you on that. He will test your faith and your beliefs in that, and you can hold firm in the foundation that He gives. Y'all, I appreciate you guys diving in to yourselves and dedicating every Saturday morning to your personal development and your growth. I love this book, and I'm grateful that it came around in the time that it did because it's helped me profoundly in this season. And I look forward to hearing your guys' takes on the recording. I'm gonna try to stay on tune as much as I possibly can just to hear y'all out in my ear. But I love you guys. I'm grateful for y'all. And I'll pass this thing. Bro, Cece looks like she ready. You know what I'm saying? She hit me this morning. She was like, "Bro, where we at? What we reading? What's happening?" You got the floor, girl. Peace.
Yo, thank you for sharing. So I really liked how I think it was in 16, well, we'll go in chronological order. So chapter 15, how to get people to like you. I've always been one of those people that was like, I don't give up if people like me or not. And the truth is that I do want people, more than I want people to like me, I want people to respect me. And I had this self-discovery recently that like I always like I think he described somebody in the book, a young teenage girl that always felt unwanted since birth. I can relate to that. And so um through that realization I realized that I was doing certain behaviors to feel wanted by other people and like this is something recent in my life, so I'm working through the need for like external validation and like more so looking into our internal validation. He talked about loving people in place of self-love. And I have a little bit of a different perspective on that. Like I think that in order for me to like love other people and like other people, like I have to love myself and like myself first. Like that allows me to feel that way towards people. Like if I don't love myself, then how can I love you? And I mean, I understand the context in which he was explaining. He used that example of the person who was really like prideful and full of himself and egotistical and self-centered, and like that person had a struggle with people liking him, and so in order for him to get people to like him, he needed to like not be so full of himself. And so I understand that perspective. I also think that like every individual, this is Kendrick Lamar's words, but every individual is just a version of you. And so that means that like I've come to this understanding like outside of reading this book, whenever there's something that I don't like about somebody, it's usually something that I don't like about myself that I'm projecting onto them or vice versa. And so like, I do my best to not take things personal because when people don't like me, like maybe there's something about me that's unlikable. I'm also just being myself, and they might be projecting something they don't like about themselves onto me. So that's just kind of what I mean by I have a different perspective on this. But this was an interesting chapter. I did like the part where he talked about when you pray for anyone, you tend to modify your personal attitude toward that individual. That's something I've been doing more recently in my life too, is praying for other people. More specifically, like praying for people that I have a hard time with, like my child's father, for example. I pray for him often that he just, that God protects him and restores him to sanity. Because, yeah, so I think that that's true. When we pray for people, it can change how we view them or think about them. It allows us to have compassion and understanding and empathy for them. And yeah, um, then another part that I liked was how he talked about building people up. Says don't deflate people, build them and they will love you for it. Build them up and they will love you for it. Then he also said, build people up and love them genuinely. Do them good, and their esteem and affection will flow back towards you. I thought about actually like our, leaders in this community, like Mikhail. Ever since I met Mikhail, he's always been somebody that has built me up and built other people around him up. And I've seen Marcus do that, and I've seen Amber do that. Um, those are like very much leadership qualities to me. Like when you can just like always like pour into people and uplift them and encourage them. That's something that like I don't have an issue doing. I definitely give people their flowers when I think they deserve it. But yeah, that's something that I'm gonna take. I'm gonna put it in my back pocket and take with me, building people up, and not just because I want them to. I don't know. I feel like this could be interpreted as like if I build people up, then they will love me, and it like sets me up for this expectation, and so I'm not like taking that kind of like perspective on it. It's more so like I just want to build people up for the sake of building people up. And then if in return they choose to like me and love me, like that's cool. But like I'm really like I don't need anybody to like me. I really don't. God likes me. I like me. And that's really all that matters. So chapter 16, prescription for heartache. This one was a really good chapter. He talked about um death in this chapter. And I really like that he talked about this in the way that he did. When I was really young, I used to have a fear of death. Like I remember being probably like 4 years old, laying in my room in complete darkness and being scared. Like not because I was scared of the dark, but because I thought that that was what death would be like, just laying in a pitch black void with no sound, no light, no nothing, and that scared me. And I don't know like what spiritual awakening I had or how it happened, but I like realized that there is that's not what death is like, or maybe that is what death is like, but more so like I came to believe that there is life after death and that like he talks about that in this chapter, like our souls are eternal and like when we our physical bodies die, like we continue on to another place. And so I believe in that, and because of that, I'm not afraid to die. And when other people die, I still have feelings, I might feel sad or I might feel angry or, resentful or frustrated or even joyful, grateful that I knew them, just grief. Grief is like a big overarching emotion, but I understand that death is a part of life and like I don't ever sulk in the death of somebody too much, or like in the pity party of somebody dying. Like I remember accompanying somebody to a funeral for somebody in their life because I have this like I don't know, this like chill, calm presence at funerals and celebrations of life because I don't see death as something that's like a bad thing. I don't know how to explain it, but there's a couple quotes that I highlighted. Let's see. One of the things he says, the secret of curing heartache is to be as normal and as natural as possible. This does not employ disloyalty or indifference. This policy is important in avoiding a state of abnormal grief. So, like, in that, he was talking about, like, when grieving, like it's essential to like act as normal as possible. He's the example of like I think as a couple, like one of the spouses died, and so the remaining spouse that was alive avoided going to certain places or hanging out with certain people because it reminded them of their significant other that had died. And um, instead, the author is suggesting to like go hang out with those people, go to those places, like be as normal as you can. Um, he has said normal sorrow is a natural process, and its normality is evidenced by the ability of the individual to return to his usual pursuits and responsibilities and continue therein as formerly, which is like a really fancy way of saying like to me, like, don't stop doing your life the way that you were just because somebody died. Like, it's part of life. And like, he goes on to talk about how people, when they die, they're not just gone, like, they're still with us. And I really believe that too. I believe that all of my ancestors and people who have passed in my life, friends, family, like, I can access them at any time. And I just have to get in touch with like spirit, and I can talk to them, you know? Um, what else? He also said, so there's no healing of the pain suffered by humanity except through the benign ministrations of faith. And like, to me, that was about just like having faith in God and in the universe, that like we can heal, like pain. What do we say? Pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. And in order to heal, we have to have faith in God. Like, how I took that. Okay, also I like this passage from First Corinthians 2:9, which he summarized as like, you have never seen anything come to compare with the marvelous things that God has prepared for those who love him and who put their trust in him. So like, we don't know what's coming. God has a lot in store for us, those that are loyal to God and faithful to God and like walk a life like in faith. So yeah, I can say a lot more about that chapter. It's very in depth. But I'm gonna move on to chapter 17, how to draw upon that higher power. I really love how he brought up Alcoholics Anonymous. Like, I'm a person in recovery and I go to those kinds of 12-step meetings. And so he was basically like, if God can deliver somebody from something as like alcoholism, which he like pretty much equates to the like hardest struggle. If God can deliver somebody from that, like God can deliver somebody from anything. Um, okay, before he talked about that though, I like this quote. He said, everyone should work hard, but there is no virtue in overtrying or overpressing to such an extent that you do not work efficiently. He used the metaphor of the golf shots. That was good. He said, take second method for drawing upon the higher power to learn to take positive, optimistic attitude toward every problem. In direct proportion to the intensity of the faith which you muster, will you receive power to meet your situation. And then from Matthew 9:29 says, according to your faith, be it unto you. That's a basic law of living. So, like, however strong my faith is, that is the direct proportion to which I will, I will, I don't know how to paraphrase that, but basically, like, if I have strong faith, then I will have the ability to, like, get through, get to a strong solution. And, like, if I have little weak faith, then, like, I won't be able to get through my problems easily. Um, this was a really good chapter, too. And the last part, I think I will say, I could really talk a lot. I don't want to take up too much space. The last thing I'll say is, please God, get me. So this was from the story about the first alcoholic guy he described. This is a prayer he said. Please God, no, this is a prayer from his friend Carl, who was a recovering alcoholic, said to, I think his name was Ed. He said, every time you come to a bar or whiskey sign or beer garden, just say one little prayer. Please, God, get me past this place. Then he added, run like hell. That will be cooperating with God. He will hear your prayer, and the running will be your part. And I really like that. I think it was this book. Yeah, earlier in this book, talked about like partnering with God. And like, that's a good example of partnering with God. Like, um, the part about like opening the door for God to come in, saying that prayer, reaching out, but then like doing the footwork, because like we can pray as much as we want to and say that we have faith or whatever, and it doesn't matter unless I would say it doesn't fully matter unless we do our part to work with God. So, so yeah. Also, this last part, never belittle anyone's experience. He had it. I thought that was a powerful, simple sentence. So yeah, this is a good book. Epilogue, I don't really have much to say. I mean, this is simply a series of practical and workable techniques for living a successful life. And so I'm haven't read all of the chapters in this book, and I want to, and I will. So I'm really excited about what I have read from this book. I've learned a lot and taken away a lot. Um, Mary, do you want to go next? If Mary's not ready, Amber, I'm calling on you.
I can go. Give me 1 second. Or Amber, go ahead and go, and I'll go after you.
What up, everybody? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Roshizi, for your insight. That was super, super powerful. And honestly, you can talk for as long as you want, bro, because that was fire. Um, because I be talking it out. I'm just kidding. Okay, let's get to these notes up in here. So this book, super, super life changing, super foundational. Like I love how it goes over so many things that I feel like in personal development and this process of success, like I don't know, one would think is common sense, but common sense is not so common. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of little things that are really, really important that make a big difference. Um, like in the first chapter, how to get people to like you. So one of the first points that I wrote down was the quote is if you want to make friends, be generally interested in other people instead of trying to get them interested in you. So that was um that's a really, really big deal. And so like a lot of the times, like I went through a journey with that because I felt like my whole life like I was genuinely interested in other people because I feel like naturally, like we are like we care about other people, but expressing that and showing that you're interested in other people is a different thing. And so what I realized, like within my journey of personal development and leadership, if I be honest, I feel like me and most people feel like if we have a hard time showing interest in other people, is because there's a part of us that has been so unseen and unheard that we are trying to be seen and heard, and we're like projecting that onto people around us. And so we want to tell them about ourselves because we haven't healed that part of ourselves. Like we haven't felt healed yet. We haven't felt seen, we haven't felt heard. So there's a part of us that wants to, and that there's no shame in that, but we have to do the work to heal that. We have to do the work to allow ourselves to feel seen and feel heard and create our own platforms for ourselves, whatever the case may be. Like it doesn't have to be super big like the way majority of us do it here. Like, we're entrepreneurs and we like that's what we do. But just allowing yourself to be heard in your communities. And that's really, really important because I feel like in leadership, we talk a lot about how what we have to do for others, because we're serving for others, but we can only serve for others at a place of overflow. And so for us to be able to be genuinely interested in other people, you have to first be genuinely interested in yourself. And you have to give yourself that time, you gotta look in the mirror. You gotta ask yourself, you gotta talk to yourself, you have to love yourself, you have to be yourself biggest fan. And like when you're able to see yourself and see who you really are, then you're gonna be able to see who other people really are. And be genuinely interested in them. And like whenever I think about this, I think about like my ex-boyfriend, because my ex-boyfriend was like hands down one of the best networkers ever, like literally one of the fucking best. And I watched him just consistently make connections with people everywhere we went all the time. And like as at the time, and I'll just be honest because I'm past this and I'm grown from this, but I was an extremely insecure girlfriend, extremely, and I didn't understand the value of what he was doing because I was just so unseen and heard myself that I wanted to be seen and I wanted to be someone interested in me. So when he was genuinely interested in other people and he would have these like long conversations with these strangers, like on the airport, like at random places that we would go to, we would just meet people and he would just, by the time we left, like he knew their whole life story. Like he was invited to the freaking wedding and stuff. And at the time, I was too, if I just be honest, like I was just too unhealed to even appreciate that or see what was going on, that I couldn't understand that. And I remember I was never like ever jealous like of his ability to do that. I just didn't understand how he could do that. Like I wanted to do that. I wanted to connect with other people like that. I wanted to make friends. I wanted to just be able to be easygoing and just connect with people like that. And I didn't get it. And then I realized he was also an extremely confident person, like extremely fucking confident. And so, excuse me. So like the more that I like, like learned from that and then learned myself and learned about confidence, like when you take the time to really love on yourself and take care of yourself, when you're around other people, you don't have to think about yourself no more because you've done that and you can focus your attention on somebody else. You can give them your full undivided attention because you're not worried about what's going on with you or what's going inside you. Um, because, uh, because you're good, like you got it. So that was like that's like my experience with that point, like genuinely interested in others create strong connections. um so yes, as I story on that. And second point was the power of a smile and a warm manner. A smile does really make a big difference. We all have good smiles here. And when I think about this, I think about like how like they like there's like the rusty bitch face. You really got to watch that. It's like I know sometimes people can have the attitude of like, well, that's just my face, that's just how I look. Well, you're just gonna be broke if you don't know how to fix it. Like we have to have some self-awareness and understand what we look like. Like me, like I can have a very strong like a bitch face, like 100%. Like I can really like look like I'm not interested, I don't like you, and I don't want you to talk to me. And um if that's the vibration that I'm giving off, that is what is going to happen. And so there's times where like I am interested and like I want to make that connection, and I have to like, you gotta oh god smile. Like you have to and even just change your face. And sometimes like if you may catch yourself like maybe not being aware of what you look like for a moment, the best thing that you can do in that moment is just like apologize and just acknowledge it. And just like really me, if I know that I'm like, if I catch myself doing that and I'm like doing my best to like network or make an impression, or even just like around my friends or family, like set a positive tone, because that's important too. Like when you're around your friends and your family, like you set the tone for where you're at all the time, no matter what. um like we're not victims. All of us are adults. We're not victims anymore to our other circumstances, right? And so like when we go around our friends and our family, like if there's like a vibration and you want to experience happiness and joy, and I don't know, say the it's tense or it's just like getting dull or whatever, you add to that as well. You know what I mean? So like having a smile on your face, having something positive to say, having is important, right? Like um you don't want to be the friend who just always has like something negative to say or is always complaining. Like, especially if y'all know me, like in the powerful creator community, I don't play that. Like I could nip that in the butt all the time, and I am so serious. Like one time I was talking to somebody that I just met recently, and we were chatting on the phone, and he was like telling me like these stories about like his life, like what was going on, like oh my situation after situation, like oh my god this happened, oh my god this happened, and I was just like, I'm like, you're just like always in some shit. Like there's just always something going on. And he's like, no, no, no. Like I swear, like this never happens. Like this is just. And I'm like, no, I don't know who you're talking to, but I know it that you are creating this stuff. I'm like, because I don't know. There was like, it doesn't matter what the situation was, but basically he was like in victim mode where he was like, yeah, I don't know why this person is coming at me like that. Like I'm just a nice person, so I don't know why they would do that. And I'm just like, yeah. I mean, I've barely known you for a couple of days, and the amount of stuff that's come out of your mouth, I can see why you got yourself in that situation. Like just based on your vibe, just based on how you talk, I could tell why you've gotten yourself in some rowdy situations. You know what I mean? So we're all about extreme accountability out here. I relate to Marcus, what he said earlier about kind of being hard to be around, because I'm that type too, especially around my friends. Like I just like I'm gonna say it, even though I'm gonna apologize for the cussing, but sometimes there's just certain vibes that come out in a certain way. But like I'm like, cut the shit, dude. Like I can see past it. Like you know what I mean? Like we're not talking about that. Like we're not gonna act like woe is you. Anyways, moving on. Sorry, I went on a tangent. Okay, giving honest appreciation and kind words. If you want to talk to friends, Learn to praise others sincerely and give them confidence. And then the note I wrote was people crave attention, sincere compliments and encouragement can strengthen your relationship. So I liked what I think like the point I made earlier about how like some people act like they don't need other people or they don't like attention or this and that. Usually, what I've realized from my experience is that if there's somebody who doesn't like attention or who doesn't want friends or who like says like they don't need anybody else, it's because they just haven't got it their whole life and it hurt them and it pained them not to get it. That they decided that they didn't want it because it was easier for them to believe that and deal with that than to have the desire to have it and not get it. So basically, everybody does want it, right? But a lot of people are in like they're trying to protect themselves. They're in survival mode. Like they probably didn't get the attention that they needed when they were a child, and they learned how to self-soothe by telling themselves that they didn't need it. And at the end of the day, that's really sad. And like, and you know, everyone's going through their healing journey, but like that's what I mean by seeing people for who they really are. Like at the end of the day, everybody is just like a person, like a person with feelings and emotions. And at the end of the day, everybody, we were rooted to be wired in love. And, you know, when someone has these hard exteriors of like, I don't need no one, I don't need nothing, like I hate attention, like I hate this, I hate that, like, I mean, I see right through that. I'm like, you need a hug is what you need. You know? Um, And so, but you know, like it takes that person for them to realize that themselves. And so, like to this, like what I realized, like as a leader, um, you know, it's like the law of sowing and reaping. Like what you give yourself, you're able to give to others. So I feel like one, I think as a leader, like practicing, because there's a difference between knowing these principles and then actually doing them and like being good at doing them, right? So right now we're learning them, and then but like giving honest appreciation and kind words as a leader, you have to actually practice doing that. And like Mikkel and Marcus are fucking. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm respecting the space. Um, but they're really good at doing that. They're really good at giving kudos. They're really good at edifying. They're really good at giving other people honest appreciation to other people. And I've watched them do it. I watched them do it all the time. Literally every single time you ever get on a call, like every day, you will see them do it to a different person in a different way. And it's a skill. Like it's a skill, and it's something that you have to. Now you don't have to, but you can get better at. You know, it's not just like you don't want to like just be like, oh, they're just good at that. Like some people naturally are. You know what I mean? But it's something that you can get better at, and you can be like you can learn. You know, you learn how to like just give appreciation for other things. I know like in my community, I think about it all the time. Like I literally will sit here and like think about every individual person and like different things that I can appreciate them on and say, because it makes a difference. It makes them, you know, it really lets people know that you care, because you can care about them and sit here and think about them all day long and think about all the things that you want to do for them and help them. But if you don't actually express that, well, you know, they're not going to know. Um, so I've had to do that because like there's been times where I'm like, I care. And I'm like, well, you never called them. So did you? Because you did. Okay. Chapter 16. Okay, I can't speak. Prescription for heartache. Um, okay. Number one, faith is the best remedy for emotional pain. So one thing I learned this year that I've been talking about is how faith is a mindset. It's a mindset. It's how you think about something. And for me, that was like a big shift on how I looked at faith. Like it's the way that you think about something. And faith is believing for the things that are unseen. So like it is literally believing in something that is not here right now. So like the quote is, God is the greatest healer of hearts. And when you lean on him, he will sustain you. So yeah, so like whenever I know I've been, you know, through stuff, we've all been through stuff, and there's just things that don't make sense at the end of the day sometimes, you know, when certain people pass away, when certain things happen, like out of nowhere, like last year, my cat passing away in the middle of like that was crazy for me. Like that was very, very traumatic. Like he was 4 years old, he was a very healthy cat, nothing ever happened to him. And then one day to the next, um, like he started going down, and there was absolutely nothing I could do about it. Like, went to the vet, went to everything, drove around, literally drove around all over Austin looking for $10,000 so I can pay for my cat to get fixed. And like, they were like, they're like, even if you do get the money for this, like, this is going to be an ongoing thing. And I just could not fathom why this was happening, what was going on. And like, in that moment, I just, like, at the end of the day, like, there's still no explanation for that. I really truly believe that that is just something that I was just like meant to experience, like, that was between me and him. Like, I had him since he was born. Like, that was just a relationship between me and this other soul. And so I felt like that was obviously like a lesson. There was a reason for that. There was. And like, I had to have faith that everything does work out for me at the end of the day, because there was just nothing you can do about it. You know what I mean? And so, yes, having faith. Instead of dwelling on heartache, turn to faith for comfort and emotional renewal. Um, yeah, so faith really helped me through that situation. Point number 2 that I wrote down: healing comes through forgiveness and letting go. One of the best ways to use heartache is to forgive those who have hurt you. And the note that I wrote was: holding on to resentment only prolongs pain. Letting go of bitterness brings emotional freedom. Um, yeah, forgiveness and letting go is a big deal. And it's like, it's the thing that I realize that is super consistent. Like, it's never going to go away. It's never going to go away. Like, it's not that it's never going to go away. Having to let go and having to forgive is like always like, like, it never stops. I don't know. It never stops. It's never stopping. There's always something that I need to continuously forgive or like let go of it. I'm just like, and then like when you're coaching people and you're leading other people, and sometimes you're leading someone through a situation when that's the only thing that they could do. Like, there's no explanation besides, we have to forgive this, let it go, and moving on. And it's hard. It's hard to see someone through that, um because that's an internal, you can't do that for them. You know what I mean? You can be an example of someone who lets go and has faith and forgives, but that's, it's an emotional thing. That's a mindset, that's emotional release that, you have to do. And you do get better at it. I believe that the more that you understand forgiveness, and you more that we understand letting go, and, and, um, how everything does work out for us and everything's okay, the better that you do get at it. And I do think it's also one of those things that doesn't get easier, you just get better. Like, I know I'm better at letting go of things now than I was like 5 years ago. That doesn't mean that you don't miss people, that it doesn't suck. Like, just because you could recognize that this person isn't for you anymore doesn't mean that it doesn't like suck. It doesn't mean that it's not sad, that you don't grieve that relationship that you thought, or like the visions that y'all had, and in friendships, romantic relationships, like anything. Um, okay. Yeah. Oh, thanks. Shift focus. Number 3, shift focus to service and helping others. When you help others, you find your own troubles become lighter. Engaging in acts of kindness takes your mind off personal sorrows and brings inner peace. Yeah, when we are going through it, like the heartache, it is so crazy actually, because it's one thing like to experience it, like, yes, like when you're like going through it, like helping other people is like, it does help you. Like, I don't know, like, because I've watched it from like a different perspective, because like whenever I was going through it, like, yes, I did that. Like, I've always wanted to be a leader, I always have a lot to say, and so I'd always like give, but I didn't realize how helpful that actually was for me until I started seeing other people do it. Like recently, like there's one person that like I've coached throughout the years, and like she's going through her own heartache and stuff, and I've seen her talk to other people and give other people life advice and give other people loving advice of what she's experiencing, and I'm like, this is how it works. I'm like, the best person to give this type of advice is the person who's like gone through it, you know what I mean, who's in it. Like, and I feel like that's how sometimes you kind of hear yourself. Like, I feel like you hear the divine in you come out when you give that to somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, yes, we want to like tell ourselves and like remind ourselves of that. But like the way that I feel like you helping other people and giving it to somebody else, how it's drawn out of you and you like, you hear what you need to hear, you know? I feel like, especially like when you do calls, you lead, I feel like that happens to me all the time. Like, and I know like Mikkel too, like the messages that we needed the most for ourselves are the ones that we're like talking about the most because we're like, I need to hear this. um, so yeah. Okay, and I'm done. I'm gonna go through chapter 17. I'm done. How to draw upon that higher power. Tap into divine power through prayer. Love it. Prayer is not only asking, but believing that the power of God is working in your life. Yeah. So you already know we talk about this in PC all the time. So prayer, like when I think about prayer, one of the biggest things that I think about when it comes to that is using the power of your words, like actually saying something to the divine, like actually like saying something else, like praying, like saying like I am here, I'm here right now, I'm here surrendering, I'm here in your presence, I welcome you into this presence, right? Saying it out loud and not just like thinking it. Like there's a big difference when the vibration comes through out of your lips and it literally brings up your vibe. And so tapping into that power, like literally like tap into the divine power through prayer, that's like my whole thing. That's like tapping into who you are by speaking. I feel like that's also why like I just talk so much because our words are so powerful, you know, and the more that you believe that, the more that they become more and more powerful. Like the more that like literally when I'm going through it, like if I'm like find myself in like negative momentum and I'm just like like I'll literally be like stop. And I'll start clapping and I'll start like saying stop really loud because I'll break the whole vibration in the room. And I like look at myself and I'm like, you are amazing. And I started that inner like dialogue of just like talking and like ranting and just like letting it all out. And then I'd be like, oh my God, I gotta record this because this is a crazy download going on right now. But that's the power of prayer. So, okay, number 2, trust in God's plan for your life. Have faith in the lower and have faith that the power that created the universe is looking after you. And then what I wrote down was surrendering control and trusting in a higher power brings peace and courage to face challenges. Um, yeah, that surrender is real. Like that's so this is what I mean sometimes. I don't mean it like this. I mean it in a surrendering way, but sometimes I could say it in a more practical way. But I'm like, it's not mean by like just giving up. I don't actually mean give up on your dreams or give up on what you're thinking, but giving up trying to figure it out right here, right now, and trying to fix it in your own way. Like just like surrendering. Like I feel like that also goes back to like that having faith. Like at the end of the day, like I don't know. Like I know that I don't know, and I know that everything is working out. I don't know what's going to happen, right? I don't know how this is going to work out. I don't know like the exact detail of how we're going to take care of this or this is going to happen, but I know it is. So let's just be grateful. And really that's the key is going to gratitude. Once you surrender, like going to that gratitude is the best thing that you could do. Like just being like, you know what, I'm just grateful that everything does work out for me and move on to the next. And then last point, faith unlocks inner strength and resilience. When you truly believe, you will discover reserves of strength you never knew you had. Confidence in a higher power helps overcome obstacles and instills a sense of purpose. That is very, very true. When you truly believe, you will discover reserves of strength you never knew you had. We are very, very powerful. We are so much more powerful than we realize. And I feel like this whole life experience is just us experiencing the power of God that is within ourselves and the power of who we really, really, truly are. Like, I feel like once you get to that real moment and you look at yourself and you're like, it was all you. It was only you. You were the love that you wanted. You were the happiness. You were the dreams. You were the amazing experiences. You were it. Like it was all inside of us right now. You know what I mean? Like, and so like when we go through situations and we allow ourselves to believe, we really do like see ourselves, we really do, you know, make ourselves proud. And I feel like that goes back to like that one point earlier about allowing yourself to be seen and to be heard. Um, when you like you hold yourself down and you have faith and you're like, I'm not gonna let this take me out no matter what, you build that confidence in yourself. You let yourself know, like, I've been through every hard day I've ever gone through. I've paid every bill I never thought I could pay. I was out here, you know what I mean, no matter what. And I'm just gonna do it again, right? um and so, like, whenever I went through like that situation, like with my cat, I know it probably sounds silly, like, you know, like just a cat, but that being was with me every single day for 4 years. And here, every single time I was on the floor praying to God, he was on top of me. um, and I remember going through that day, like, because I had my baby niece with me and she was only 8 months old at the time. And having an 8 month old baby, and like I was like running around with this cat trying to save it. I literally remember one time I was in my car with like the baby and the cat, and I was like, what? And then I really had this moment where I had to carry my baby niece in my hand, and I had to carry the cart with the cat down the stairs. And I'm only 4'10", so I'm not like, but I had to do it. You know what I mean? And I was like, I can't drop this baby, and I can't drop. I mean, obviously, if I had to drop the cat, I would over the baby. But like, I remember like running down like stepping down those stairs, like holding the baby and holding the cat in my hand, and like knowing that I wasn't gonna fall, because I wasn't. And in that moment too, I kind of proved to myself that I was like strong. I was like, I can do this. Like, I don't know. I felt like I had to, you know, like, I don't know what I mean. Like I could not drop them. I had to go down the stairs. Um, anyways, that is my message for today, y'all. This was an amazing book. I'm excited for the next book. I can't remember what they said it was, but we'll get reminded later. And thanks, y'all, for listening. Mama Mary, you're up next.
All right. Good morning, guys. Fire takes, everybody. I have been on the go this morning and y'all have been in my ear, and I just love everything that all of you guys have had to say about these last three chapters. This whole book is just, it's mind blowing, and it's I know it's something that's going to be on the repeat cycle for TGF. So just to get into it, chapter 15, how to get people to like you. It's crazy when I was reading this chapter, because I'm a little bit of the older generation, guys, and you know, back when I was in high school, uh, I I was like really to myself, but I had different friend groups to where I knew people on the popular side, I knew people on the ghetto side, I knew people on the alternative side. So it just, to me, I was like, I never really thought. And I don't know if it has a lot to do with my upbringing or whatnot, which it probably does. Sorry, guys. I just parked right now. So um, I think honestly, I never really thought about people really liking me, or even having my parents teach me like feelings. You know what I mean? I just went with it. Like, you didn't like me? Okay, fine. You like me? Okay, cool. You know, it is what it is. But as I got older, you know, when we moved to Kyle, it was funny because, you know, the boys' dad, Lewis and Tina, um, and of course, Zach and I, we moved out here at the same time. And, you know, Marcus and Matthew, they were, gosh, I guess Matthew was fifth grade, Marcus was sixth grade. And I was always to myself. Me and Zach never really like chilled with friends. We didn't have friends. We were each other's friends. Our family was our friends. And the boys were like, Mom, how come y'all don't get to know our friends' parents? Yada yada yada. I'm like, son, I ain't here to make friends. I don't care if anybody likes me or not. You know, just that mentality. Um, and I think now I think of it, and it's so opposite, because with the girls and their basketball friends, like, we've created a group of really strong friendships with some of their parents. And I just think as you get older, you really get to, and this is just for me, I can only talk for me because I do come from an older generation, and I do, you know, think that my husband, because he did marry 10, somebody 10 years older than him, he just kind of followed and did and acted how I acted, but he's seriously an old soul. And I think honestly, we kind of thought the same. You know, we didn't need to, I didn't need to be liked. Zach always talked to the kids about not wanting to be liked. But in this book, it literally says one of the deepest drives of a human nature is the desire to be appreciated, which is fine. You know, it is great to be appreciated. But the longed to be liked, to be held in esteem, and to be sought after person is fundamental in this. And when I read stuff like this and I think about how I used to be, like literally, guys, I feel like I am like barely living in my 40s. Like my 20s and my 30s were pretty, I don't know. I don't even know how to like put it in words, but I just feel like I didn't really use my mind at the capacity that I should have. And I don't want to say it was a waste because it's not, because I've learned a lot from how I was to who I am now. Um, but this book is amazing because I love how it just goes back and it talks about um the stuff in the Bible and how God wanted them to be. Like he literally, it's the Bible's like very realistic, and it knows like the people and the infinite possibilities as well as like our imperfections, like their imperfections back then. Um, and it says in Luke 9:5, I liked this because it advised the disciples if they went to a village and they couldn't get along with people, just to shake the very dust from their feet for a testimony against them. Like how awesome is that? Like it's telling you in the Bible that that's okay. Not everybody's going to like you, and that's okay. You're not going to like everybody, but we need to make sure that that doesn't harden our hearts and that we continue to pray, because pray for them, pray for your heart, pray for you to find the good in them. You know what I mean? And that comes with forgiveness. Um, and I have a few people who I'm still gaining that forgiveness. Um, to where they like seriously hurt. And I find it very hard, like in my faithful journey that I'm in right now. Like I know what needs to be done, and I know forgiveness is the answer. And I feel like I know I'm a work in progress, because no matter how deep I am in that, I know for a fact that the forgiveness needs to get done. Um, we really, I feel like that in this book he says that we really need to get to know people, like who they are. Um, and simple, I was very bad with remembering names. And I'm like, gosh, I can't even remember their name. But if I see them, I'll know who you're talking about. Um, but in reality, like names, that's who you are. Like, why wouldn't you want somebody to know what your name is? I would want somebody to know my name, but I know sometimes um I can come across as intimidating. And these are not my words. These are what words that what people have told me. And I could see back when I was younger how I could have been intimidating. My husband now told me I was intimidating when I met him. And you know, Amber touched on it. You know, your resting bitch face. I had that. My daughter has that, and that's something that I'm working on. And I know I have literally, that's a them problem. Yeah. I mean, I was pretty ugly back when I was younger. I'm not like that now. Um, but I grew up in the ghetto. I grew up hardcore. I grew up fighting guys. I grew up fighting girls. I grew up not the way my kids did, thank God. Um, but I just didn't give two fucks. Excuse my language. But and sometimes I kind of revert a little bit. And I find myself, when something I get into a situation or my kids get into it, my girls honestly get into a situation. Um, Not gonna lie, Anna had somebody who she was talking to, and his mom ended up calling her, talking crap to her, and she's like, "Mom, what do I do?" And I was like, "Look, honey, I could easily tell her to pull up, easily tell her to pull up because they know where the fuck we live. That don't scare me, but I'm trying to change and I'm trying to be better, because that's something that I would have done then. You've got to figure this out because I know my daughter, and I know she has some faults. Um, so she caused that for herself. And I can't try to be who I want to be by reverting back to who I was. So this chapter was really good. I really like um, saw myself in this book, in this chapter, this whole book, honestly. Um, in chapter 16, the prescription for heartache. Uh, I cried. I don't know if I'm getting into my sissy Lala phase, but I cried when I was writing my notes down, only because I have I've experienced both ways, um, on leaning and trusting God in a heartache and not leaning and trusting God in a heartache. And my first one that I've ever experienced was not leaning and trusting on God because I didn't know who He was. And that was when I lost my dad. Um, I was angry at my dad because he, of course, died of an overdose. Um, the scenarios in the story, I was supposed to be the one to find my dad, but my brother was the one who found my dad. And the boy's dad is the one who kind of saved me for not finding my dad. So the heartache that Lewis put me through or whatever, I do thank him for him not listening to me and going by my dad's house, because I would have found him with a needle in his arm. And I don't know if I could have handled that, especially not knowing God. I knew he existed. I just didn't know like how to lean on him. Um, but I fully understand now that there are two sides of deaths. But the second one, it was my sister, and she passed. I was slowly into my faith, going to church. Me and my sister were reconciling when she passed. And it was a lot of, I don't know. I mean, her children used to tell me it was jealousy. It was, I don't know. I didn't decide to live that life that my parents lived for my children. And I don't know if that was animosity she had or what she wanted. She just couldn't pull herself away from that. But on the brighter side, New Year's Eve, well, she called me New Year's Day, 12 o'clock midnight. And I told her about Matthew and Maddie getting engaged. We cried. We told each other we loved each other. And I got the call at 6 o'clock that morning that she had passed. Like, what are the odds? So I had a little bit of anger as to why God took her while we were getting our relationship back. But geez, we were able to say, I love you. And I was able to share good news with my sister. Like, man, that girl had more lives than a damn cat. I ain't gonna lie. She um, she overdosed so many times. One Easter, we had to do CPR on her in front of the kids. It was hard, guys. It's hard, but I know what it feels like to do both. And I think if we ever have to experience, I know we are going to, but because death is part of life, this is only our temporary home, and I know that. And that's why I strive so hard now to teach my kids and for me to live my life renewed, restored, and to do things differently, to give up my fleshly wants, to do the things to get a stronger relationship with God so that I know I can lean on Him and I know everything's done in His will and not mine and not.
You muted, Mama. You muted. Go ahead, unmute, girl. You disappeared for a second.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I don't know what happened, but I'm in the middle of the parking lot in Kyle. So anyhow, chapter 17, how to draw upon the higher power. I feel it's very hard to be able to draw upon the higher power if you don't know who the higher power is. Like, and that's our duty, that's our job to sit and talk about our higher power, to sit and plant these seeds so that way God can grow them and understand how to revert back to leaning on Him, trusting Him, living optimistically and not in negativity and not in sorrow and anger we're not I'm not saying things aren't going to get to where you're not going to feel any of those. Feel it. Feel your emotions because like I said, I'm barely learning how to do all of that in my 40s. I think I just dealt with whatever was brought my way because that's how my parents showed me how to do that. So I give all of y'all props because y'all are so y'all are young and y'all are um, learning this early, and your kids are going to reap those benefits off of you guys doing that and them seeing y'all do that. Um, because my boys were raised with a different mom than my girls were raised. 100%. Um, but we just have to practice depending on God through His support and power. So great book. I cannot wait. Like I said, my brother is going to read this book and he's also in a faithful journey. We're just in a different spot in our lives. And I cannot thank God enough for that. So thank y'all guys. Love y'all. Whoever wants to go next. Uncle T, yes.
Hey, I just
Justin.
I really, 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 truly, I say this often because it's who you are and how you are. But I appreciate your vulnerability and transparency in everything that you've been able to conquer in your life because you are a literal conqueror. It's wild. I didn't even know some of the stuff that I just heard on this call.
Mm.
Already seen you battle the world and continuously win. So the armor on you is strong. Your life is blessed and anointed. And I just want to let you know that I love you. If I could give you the hugest hug right now, I would. I'd squeeze the life out of you, girl.
I love you. I love you. Thank you, Mijo.
I love you too, girl. And your testimony literally lights a fire in people's hearts. You know what I'm saying? It literally brings about it literally changes the space when you really open that up. And it's dope. It's one thing that Amber talked about earlier within this book. It's like, as you, one, say the things that you need to say, because I had a similar moment as you're having right now on Wednesday, and y'all were present for it, and it was something serious. But in that, it's like, when you're able to open that up, it shines a different light for people. And in that, like it literally just lets people see that they can shine their light too. And your testimony changes a life, that their testimony changes a life, that their testimony changes the life. And ultimately, it's literally our job to continuously give that, and that's the only reason that we're here, period. And we got to be big and bold about it. And it gets easier and easier every time. And I've just seen you grow from the woman that I met 3 years ago, 4
Amen.
years ago, to who you are today. And man, I am proud to call you my Mama Mary. Truly, I love you, girl. I just wanted to say that for real,
I
for
love you. I love you too. Thank you, Mijo. I
real.
appreciate you.
Sam or Justin, if y'all wanted to go, or I can definitely dive into this thing real quick. I haven't completely finished the book. I have like 2 pages left. So up to you, Sam. How you feeling? Justin, how you feeling?
Oh, I'm here to stay right now. I'm chilling.
He said I'm vibing. He's
Yeah,
like, hey,
yeah. I wrote the notes too. I was listening. I was like, oh yeah, I gotta take notes from everybody as well myself. Learn a lot, and I'm definitely proud of Mary. Like, and I don't know per se yet, Mary directly, but I'm already like really proud of her.
hey, you've indirectly met her because you've met Marcus, my boy. This is Marcus's mother, actually, as well. If you can't tell, she's an OG. They raise
Oh,
energy. So you've seen the byproduct of that faith in that story that she's just seen talked about.
mm,
So
yep.
in that, bro, this is amazing, and I'm glad you're here. If y'all didn't know, Justin is brand new to the fam. Literally just got started last night. That man in the sauna. Okay, he's grinding. I'll let you
Yeah.
get out the sauna before you go, Sam. I'll take it next. But in that, y'all, Justin, definitely, I'm excited to have this dude a part of the squad. Definitely was a genuine energy and a vulnerable and a transparent energy from the moment that we met. It's actually something that we spoke about yesterday. So, welcome to the book club, bro. That's why I woke up and texted you, like, hey, bro, hop on here. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But
Thank you. Seriously.
yes, sir. If you want to, real quick, bro, you can definitely share your notes before I take this thing home, and then Sam brings us all the way back to home base. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, for sure. I would say like I took notes on like as much people as I could, but most things that resonated, I heard something about smiling more. It like it sets the tone. I realized like coming around a lot of people, I always try to set the tone too, because I know that me myself, like I don't look in the mirror as much right now, but I know that like I could see if I was to have the impression of not smiling everywhere I go, it sets a tone for people around you and it sets the energy up as well too. Like you'll notice the more you smile, the more others do as well. And that's why I wrote it down because I was like, wow, that's like really true. And I push that agenda as much as I can to people around me because that's how I want everyone to feel. I want everyone to feel like they have a reason to smile as well too. And having a positive attitude. Yeah, same thing too. A positive attitude does open doors too for a lot of people. And just being able to be kind of vulnerable positively too, that sets aside like strength. It's a different type of strength. Rather than like being closed-minded and, the opposite. It's two different sides of everything. So I realized that and I wrote it down. Like these are just notes from me that I was just like, yeah, I gotta reinforce it, reapply it, take it to the next level, things like that. I noticed too, I wrote here, if you say that you don't need something 9 times out of 10, or like if you don't need people, 9 times out of 10, you do need people because it is a sign that you're like not open to what you want and you kind of like neglected what you needed. So it's definitely true that a lot of times people like talk. Say, for example, if I were to go meet someone and they would have been like, hey, like, I got, say, for example, like a business or something like that. I'd be like, hey, my business will get you $100,000 right now. You don't need this or anything. Rather than, okay, we're gonna sell you something. I don't know how to explain it like directly with like explanation wise and example wise, but I know like talking up everything, talking it before it actually is proven, a lot of times that shows like you can see right through it. Like, I don't know if it was Amber you said that. Amber, I believe you said that. Like you can see right through it. And you can see that there's something not exactly, not that it's not correct, but something's underlying, and you want to look into that a little bit more before you make that assumption, and then pointing to faith instead of heartache. Like, I definitely resonate with that because I just the other day, like, one of my friends, he passed away. Like, I didn't get a chance to really meet him either, like that. Like, I was, in a group chat with people and he always showed respect. He always was the type of person where you're like you wouldn't have to worry about whatever energy we're on because we're always doing something positive. We're always uplifting. We're always trying to figure out the next thing to do that's bettering. And well, he passed away. He was like I don't know, like it was an accident. And for me, this time I realized that I have more faith because last year I lost someone. It was someone really close to me, someone who like I do music and they practically got me started with music. Like we'd freestyle in the car every single day, like every day for the whole year, like work, freestyle, go back to work, same thing all the time, like figure out things. And he passed away. That was my little cousin, and we're like practically brothers, like almost like I talk to him a little bit more than my brother. Like I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that. But it was true. Like we're literally brothers. And I definitely would say that time when he passed away, like I dealt with a lot of pain and I leaned on pain and anger, sorrow, all those things. So I did understand there's two directions when it comes to things like that, dealing with like pain and faith, like heartache, like choosing heartache versus faith when it comes to getting through pain. And helping others too, I do feel like does give you superpowers. Like innate, innately gives you superpowers. I do feel like helping others has made me feel a lot better about myself too, and definitely gives me the luxury of feeling as though I can not focus so much on the bad things in my life as well because I'm just like, well, if he's winning or she's winning, I'm happy because that takes you like it takes a burden off of you as well, and it makes you feel light and it makes you feel joyous and takes you to a different level of thinking, more evolved mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Like, um, next, other than that, I wrote down that prayer taps into divine power, and I really put stars behind a couple of these, and this was one of them because I pray, but I don't really pray out loud. I do prayers like all the time, but I do them mentally. But then once someone said that saying them out loud and recording it, I never thought of that. And then it made me realize like, okay, maybe I could just reapply this differently. I think that I would be able to really move from here to there if I started applying some of these things because power is in the tongue. I wrote that in the comments. And I felt as though like, yeah, like I should definitely try that, try to really embrace it better, be more open about it. And yeah, that's that. And when you truly believe you will unfold the power instilled within that is truly dormant. I wrote that, I paraphrased it, I believe. But like I noticed that too, like whenever I do something or anyone around me does something and they're like excelling in it, a lot of times their mindset is in a whole different atmosphere. And there's a reason for it. And it's literally this reason because what they're believing, I'll say, okay, I believe I can jump like 5 inches off the ground. This guy thinks he can jump over a building. You get the idea. So it's like for me, I'm like, okay, I need to have more confidence and more power in my thinking. And I was like, yeah, I definitely need to like reapply this because I already do it, which kind of does sometimes set me apart from a lot of people around me, and it has a pull for people to want to be around and things like that. But I just feel like now hearing it, the word of the tongue, like hearing it from someone and them actually re-instilling it and allowing me to hear that, it puts a pillar down for it. And it makes me feel like, yeah, like this really needs to be something you're using as like a stool in your life. Like without this, not without it, I won't be able to do anything, but it's extreme power in that. And that's really as far as I got. After that, I was just like, like I want to genuinely also listen to and I want to listen to everyone's stories directly. So I was just like, I'm gonna take a break after this. Yeah.
And well, you definitely got some bars, bro. You know what I'm saying? Those are definitely, what do you call them? Epiphanal thoughts. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
These bigger words these days. But
Yeah.
truly, like, bro, all those are bars, bro. And ultimately, when you think about this book, I'm going to show you where to grab it afterwards. When you think about this book in its entirety, that is exactly what it was trying to do, is affect people's way of thinking, way of moving, way of being, so that instead of just trying and attempting at failing, they do these things, they implement these principles, and then they move forward throughout their life, not only like getting what they desire truly, but also impacting others and being able to help other people go and do the same directly and indirectly in their example. And so I want to read the epilogue real quick because I was like, I read this as you started going and was like, oh, this is fire. Quit playing.
Yeah.
So it says, you have finished this book. What have you read? Simply a series of practical and workable techniques for living a successful life. You have read a formula of belief and practice which should help you win victory over every defeat. Examples have been given of people who have believed and who have applied the suggested techniques. These stories have been told to demonstrate that through the same methods, you can obtain the same results as they did. But reading is not enough. This is something that we spoke about on the call the other day as well. But reading is not enough. Now, please go back and persistently practice each technique given in this book. Keep at it until you obtain the desired results. I wrote this book, or your desired results. I wrote this book out of sincere desire to help you. It will give me great happiness to know that this book has helped you. I have an absolute confidence and belief in the principles and methods outlined in this volume. They have been tested in the laboratory of spiritual experience and practical demonstration, and they work when worked. The work works. We may never meet in person, but in this book we have met. We are spiritual friends, and I pray for you. God will help you, so believe and live successfully. Norman Vincent Peale. Shout out that man. You know what I'm saying? He definitely is going down as one of my best friends. I appreciate him for the pep talk over these last like 6 weeks. But it's been or dang near 8 weeks. I think it's been 6 weeks that we've been doing this, 5 or 6. But what's up, Nakia? What's going on? Good to see you. Hello. Hello. Mwah. Good morning. With the monkey face. You are your mother's child. I love it, truly. What's going on, y'all? But honestly, like this book for me, it has been exactly what it just said. Like just a series of practical ways on how to be. And a lot of this stuff I've done and do consistently. And it's literally my secret. People ask me my secret to getting through all the crazy things because go watch all the other book club recordings, bro. You'll see you'll hear all the crazy things we've all been through. because just like today, the vulnerability and the transparency don't change. It's been like this for 3.5 years. We've been doing this thing a minute. So in that, like when people have always asked, like, how do you just be making it through things? And I'd be like, yo, I just do exactly what he said in this book. I get positive. I literally think about the situation above it, not below it. And then from there, I literally be like, okay, it's already done. Some way, somehow, this is about to work out. I establish a mental belief and I really believe in the successful outcome coming from whatever I'm going through and looking at. And then I just relax. Vibe out and let God do his thing. And I just control whatever I can control. The minute, the second, the hour, the day, the week, the year. I have moments where I'd be like, yo, I fall down in my belief too. And ultimately, what I do is I go to my friends that recharge me. I had a post that I sent out to a few people directly and was like, yo, shout out you for being one of those people that every time I hear your voice or speak to you, you secretly recharge me. It's a couple of my boys who are not even a part of our business. They're not a part of TGF Network. They literally are like my people, though. You know what I'm saying? These are my dogs, for real, for real. And I'll pull up to like my guy Louis' crib. We're actually throwing him a surprise birthday party today at 4 p.m. I'm excited. But in that, I'll pull up to Louis' crib. And like when I was going through things with my household and going through evictions and that whole situation, I didn't know how it was about to end. And it was near my birthday. And I was like, whoa, what's going on? I slid to his crib, and the one thing this man tells me as I'm talking about the situation wasn't like a hey bro, you could do this, or like, hey bro, I got this for you. It was like a bro, shut up. And I was like, nigga, what you mean? Shut up, bro. Like I'm going through it right now. Like, bro, I'm just trying to figure out my life, bro. I'm not trying to like vent, but like, bro, I just don't know what to do. And I'm just trying to talk it through and figure it out. He said, bro, your ass always pulls something out of a hat. You'll be all right. Hit the weed. You know what I'm saying? At that moment, hit the joint, we were just chilling. I was like, okay. I got back in the car and I was like, bro, I was almost annoyed. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I was almost like pissed. Like that nigga didn't even care about my situation. And then I was like, but he right though. You know what I'm saying? When I look back at everything, there is something that always just randomly comes out of nowhere with the boop boop, and I'm Gucci all of a sudden. So, hey, instead of just I ain't pulling nothing out of a hat. I'm gonna pull my faith out of my chest and just beat it real quick and say, God, you got me. And in that, bro, the fruits are shown. And what's dope is exactly what you just said. He does have a strong belief in me. My dog really does. But literally, it's because it's not even in me. It's just in the fact of like, bro, he's watched this process happen over and over and over and over and over and over and over again since I left my home and got out on my own. He's watched me literally pull up on him. We have sessions where I'm low in belief and don't know what's about to go on. And then he'll see me in 7 days with the whole miracle story. Because I'm really loud about my miracles just as much as I'm loud about my troubles. You got to be transparent about everything, the good and the bad. So in that, like a lot of my people, and honestly, it's kind of dope to hear when people be like, but Peale and Marcus do this. It's dope. It's just literally being transparent. And if people know that you do it, they'll see that you do it. And as the book said, if you become one of those rare personalities, like, yo, that person's got something, people will want to be around you continuously. You'll be able to impact people continuously. And that sense of fulfillment, if you can keep your heart in check, you'll be smooth. That's why when we read books like How to Win Friends and Influence People, one of the first things that I talked about when we were on that part of our book club, I was like, yo, these things that this book teaches can be used in a manipulative manner. So you have to check your heart posture and where you come from. And this is why we keep God at the center of what we got going on. Because if you continuously check your heart posture, you'll be able to actively go through life, not really caring about your own problems, but really just looking to be a blessing to others. And in that, you will naturally attract what you are. Therefore, you will attract people, places, things that become blessings to you. And in that, it comes a transference of belief, it comes a transference of energy, it comes a transference of abundance that you become like transparent so that everything can flow through you. The positivity, the results, the success, the abundance, the blessings, the vent sessions, whatever the case that you may need, you give it to somebody else. Therefore, it has to come through you. So it's inevitable that you will win. And that was kind of like this book just put a whole bunch of examples together to show people how to be that, how to stand in that, how to consistently understand and be aware of that as well. Because with awareness and with clarity comes power once you can actually move with that belief. There's an audio, I'm going to send it to you, Justin. It's called Belief versus Believe. It's by Justin Owens. That man is a beast. But in that, he just talks about the fact that there's people that believe in positivity, but then there's people who believe in positivity. And the difference is one walks with it. There's people who believe that there's a rank called super affiliate that pays out over $500,000 a month. Then there's people that believe that they're going to hit that rank called super affiliate that pays out over $500,000 a month. There's a difference in a level of belief, like you talked about. And so in that, you've got to build it. And the way to build it is to consistently put yourself in environments with people whose belief is bigger than yours, even when it feels uncomfortable, especially when it feels uncomfortable. But then also another way is to consistently develop yourself. This is the reason why we have spaces like this. This isn't no business presentation. We ain't trying to talk nobody into nothing. We're not trying to sell a product or service. No, none of that. We're consistently on here every single Saturday at 10:30 a.m., masterminding our principles with our life experiences and learning from one another on how to actually go through this life with people that have just as much drive, belief, and results as we do, if not more. In that, as we consistently stay around mindsets who sharpen our own, iron next to iron sharpens iron, period. And ultimately, the adverse is true. Iron in contact with wood dulls the iron and damages the wood. And this is why I say you got to keep yourself in those environments, even when it feels uncomfortable, because sharpening is uncomfortable. But in that, you've literally just got to keep yourself in those environments. You've got to keep consistently, like, just grow your belief level. The books that we put in place of this book club are specifically designed to help our new members and our old members consistently do that, because life is a continuous roller coaster of your belief. And in that belief, you create your results. High belief, high results. Low belief, low results. That's literally how this thing goes. That's faith in a nutshell. God literally says it. You will have as much as your faith permits. So in that, raise your level of belief, raise your level of faith. And the only way that you can do that is by going through things and experiencing things that test that, just like the gym. You got to work out. So it's dope. Honestly, I'm really grateful. Another book I highly recommend, y'all. I don't know if I have it right here. And this one's not going to go in the roto for some time because we already got the roto mapped out for the year. But this one, I got it from my book. Y'all know I'm a drummer at my church up in Hastings. And I got it from my church, excuse me. And honestly, it was just sitting there one day. And then my pastor did a whole sermon on it. And it was honestly fire. If y'all ever met Pastor Mark, he kind of low energy. But this one right here, oh, my man brought the fire out. But it's called Dynamite Prayer. I haven't even finished the whole thing. It's honestly a workbook as well. So you can literally work through it. And it just prompts you to pray bigger prayers. Like, challenge your level of belief, get a little afraid, ask for some bigger things. Honestly, I've always said it. Y'all know me. You shoot for the stars, you'll mess up and miss and hit the moon. Rosario Picardo and Sue Nilsson Kibbe. A quick pick. Rosario Picario and Sue Nilsson Kitty. Oh, my bad. Let me see if you were taking the picture or not. Dynamite Prayer is what that thing is called. But in that, it literally just talks about, it's a 28-day experiment of praying big prayers. Like, y'all, for instance, here's what's wild is, like, when I say shoot for the stars, you'll miss and hit the moon, That's what my mom used to tell me. Like, if you shoot for the moon, you're gonna miss and land your ass back on Earth. That was the other half. So in that, you gotta shoot bigger, you gotta aim higher. And with that, like, I'll give it to you in a real life example of my life right here, right now. Over the last year in my business, I have been focused on making an extra $1,000 to $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month at max. Because I'm like, yo, I need to get it to the point where like me and my family is cool. And I've just been worrying about being cool. And I have not hit my marks like at all consistently. And then all of a sudden I get into this month and I have a talk with my mentor a week ago. And he just real life spoke belief into us and was like, okay, everybody on this call, you're on this call for a reason. You're going to hit the rank 100K this month. That's going to earn you X amount of incomes, about 14, almost $15,000 that will earn just over the next 30 days. And then we'll hit 100K within the next month of March, or excuse me, the next month of April. And boom, we'll make an extra $20,000 to $30,000. Now, hold on. I was like thinking about 5 or 10, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, okay, in the next 30 days, not like it, like 10, 15, 20. I was thinking like 90 days from now. And all of a sudden he condensed my time frame and made me intensely believe in what we would do. And the way that he did it was by having us all unmute and just visualize. And he just literally one by one, there was about 7 of us on the call. He asked us, so, all right, when you hit 100K, what are you doing? And I was like the 4th person to go. So I was hearing how he was really grilling niggas. So I had time to like get ready with my response because he was grilling people, y'all. But in that, he's asking them like, hey, what are you doing? Like, what are you buying? Where are you going? How are you're going to invest in what? How much are you going to invest? You're going to make X amount of income. Okay, you know exactly what it is down to the cent. So how much are you going to actually invest? What bills are you going to take care of? Well, like, what do you have going on? What's your actual plan when you do this? And by walking us through that exercise, we all gained such a clear picture of what it would look like as soon as we made this bread that it deleted the fear of the unknown. And once you delete the fear of the unknown, when you get to the unknown, because you don't know it yet, you'll know exactly where you are. It's like doing studying before you go on a journey. There was a book that we read that talked about a trip to the North Pole. There was a person who really studied down to every single detail and mapped out the journey in a place they had never been. And they made it 21 days prior to the guy who didn't. The guy who didn't also lost a couple men along the way. He had to leave his machines and had a very uncomfortable journey up to the exact same space. Just because he didn't plan it out, he didn't get clear. And so when he had us do that, I was like, whoa. But in that, he also had me condense my time period and maximize my level of belief. And with that level of belief, I literally started crying before he even called on me because I knew exactly what I wanted to do with it. I knew exactly what I wanted my life to look like over the next 30 days. I know that I want to bring my children to Disney World because they've been on my ass. I know that I also want to pay off my entire rest of the year in bills, which is damn near done, by the way, which is lit. I'm excited. And all of a sudden, these things started to happen before we even hit the rank. What's up, baby? It's not working. It's not? Okay, I think Daddy's going to have to replace the batteries in it. I got a lot of batteries to replace today. What? Yeah, I'm going to go to the store right after this. Give me a second. But in that, we got toys that are out of batteries, y'all. Crazy. But it's honestly wild because now, over the last 7 days since we had that talk on that Zoom, we have really kicked it into a high gear of activity and absolutely made some amazing things happen already. And this is literally just the start. And it's kind of wild because all of a sudden, all it took was just raising my level of belief. But in that, I needed to be around an environment of people that had a bigger belief level than myself. And then they needed to bring that out of me instead of me trying to bring it in outside of myself. And so ultimately, I'm grateful because in the last 6 months, I've gained access to a new mentor who completely brings a different Mikhail out of Mikhail. Truly grateful for that because prior to that, for the last couple of years, I hadn't experienced that type of energy for a very long time. And so in that, as you as you pray bigger prayers and as you raise your level of belief and as you stay positive, as this book asks us to do, bro, you literally cannot lose. And that's why I'm grateful that we even read this, because now you're aware of how to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, once you, I know, Justin, you haven't read it, but for everybody else and everybody who's watching the recording, like, now you know exactly what to do and how to do this. Therefore, as you go forward, not only is it your moral responsibility to teach somebody else when you see them in the game and they're trying to figure it out, but also, like, it's going to make your journey 10 times, I don't want to say easier, but more simple. You're still going to go through whatever you're going to go through. Time will pass either way, but you'll be able to actively go and accomplish your goals. Here you go, buddy. You'll be able to actively accomplish your goals with intention because you know exactly how to go and hit them. That's why I'm grateful, truly. And with that, real quick, before I intro on this next book we about to read, Sam, you free? You out of the sauna? What's popping, player? If you're not, let me know in the chat. You might be typing. Because usually he's quick to unmute.
I have something I want to share with y'all real quick.
Go crazy, remember?
So, as we're waiting for Sam to respond, this is something that has been very like helpful for me these past couple months, I would say, like in my, because we're all entrepreneurs and we're all like, creating stuff. And something that's been very effective for me because I have an extremely creative brain and I get creative ideas all the time. And I know we've been hearing about it, but like for real, like really taking it seriously and really like seeing what we can actually do with it. But like with AI and like ChatGPT, like I've invested into like the premium and like with my prayers and with my downloads and stuff and my journaling in the morning and like those moments when like we tap in and we really ask for divine guidance and have the Holy Spirit really help us with the organized planning of what we are doing. Um Me, like I've been like recording my prayers and recording my downloads like before, during, afterwards, whatever, and uploading them. Like you either get the transcript or sometimes I'll like talk directly into it. Like after I'm done praying and I'm clear on like a vision or something, I'll like capture it. So that's the whole point I'm trying to make is like capturing it, and then like you really utilizing ChatGPT and AI to organize those thoughts. And maybe you don't need to you do something with them right now, but storing them away, because that's been very, very helpful for me, and having like an ongoing conversation, like literally ongoing on conversation that captures that flow coming out. Because that's something I feel like as creatives and like people with ADHD and stuff, like be able to sit down and actually make real and make practical like what we have up here in a streamlined way and be able to go back to it, and continuously build on top of it has been like is important. And so like for, I'll give a practical example. Like right now, like as a leader, I'm like running a 21-day challenge for my community, and there's a lot that goes into it. I'm leading the content, making sure the content's consistent, making sure the vibe is consistent, making sure there's a lot of moving parts, right? Of just, and before I've done it before, just like, just I've done it multiple times. But this time I continue to learn, how to use ChatGPT throughout the past year. And it's just helped me so much organize everything. And like, I've just been able to utilize it more and more and more. And I see like how like just helpful it is. And it's been very relieving. And anyways, I just wanted to share that because like me, like getting those downloads and like those moments are precious, and like you're not crazy. Like those downloads that you're gonna think of something that nobody ever thought of before, and now we have the ability to capture it, um, and store it. Anyway, so that's what I want to say, and I've been like just using that all the time. So just
And it's actually a bar. I'm gonna expand on your idea really quick because I got something for y'all and I forgot about it till you just said it. So you guys are the first ones to actually know about this practice. Me and Marcus are implementing it ourselves too. But we hopped on a coaching call with a guy named Trey Bugs. He is the son of Holton Bugs. If you know anything about the direct sales network marketing industry, Holton Bugs was the top paid network marketing, made well over $1 million a month for like 10 straight years. Also, top played black man in the industry as well. My man be snapping. But we hopped on a call with his son because we actually just bought their coaching program as well. And in that, he told us about what he does. And I just wanted to give everybody the game because I was like, yo, this is some sauce. So One, you take your, like, write out exactly who you want to be, like the best version of yourself. Write it out in a form of affirmations. Okay. And then in that, go to ChatGPT, write this out and say, hey, I want you to rewrite this as a best-selling author of a motivational, inspirational, personal development book. They'll rewrite it in an amazing way. Then you go take that over to 11 Labs or Descriptor, any one of these other AI platforms, and or with Justin, your music artist, you could record yourself speaking exactly what ChatGPT just wrote out. Then from there, you can go and clone your voice if you want to clone your voice and have it speak, or you can just record yourself speaking it. From there, you can throw it into any other music, or really, I think 11 Labs will honestly do it, and you can turn it into an audio. Once you turn it into an audio, you can also go in and set the different frequencies that it's playing at. You could put music behind it, the whole nine. What I recommend is going and Googling the frequency of sleep. It's like 457 hertz or something like that. But Google the frequency of sleep, Google the frequency of focus, and then you put both of, like, your audio into both of those frequencies, and bedtime, 30 minutes before you go to sleep and while you're sleeping, let it play. Like, make it so that it's something you could literally sleep to, but let it play so that you fall asleep listening to the best version of yourself tell you exactly who you are. And then in the morning, when you wake up, put on the one that's in that frequency of focus. It might be a little bit more upbeat as well. And from there, let that play for your entire morning routine, while you're doing your prayer, while you're doing your journaling, while you're going through all of those necessary tasks and mapping out exactly what's happening throughout the day. And what will happen is you'll literally program your own mind into becoming exactly who you are, because you got to be, do, and then have. So if you say you're going to act, think, and believe more positively, and you're going to look at your problems not as you versus the problems. Hey. We're not doing that. But as you, God, and the problem, your whole life will change. Real life. But here, go outside, boy. Drum on the drum, not on anything else. All right. So, lastly, real quick. Oh, I see we got a message in the chat. Who put a message in the chat? Can you help me with that after? Yes, sir. I got you, player. But in that, the next book that we're reading is actually this one. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. This is gonna be crazy for me because I haven't read it in what, 12 years. It was one of the first books that I ever got from Joey, and it was a quick read, if I'm not mistaken. It's only like 100 or so pages, but it's called Go for No. This is a sales book. So if y'all don't know, as an entrepreneur, the main two things that you need to get good at: sales and marketing. Everything else, you can honestly be mediocre. But if you can't do sales and marketing, then you will not make any money and nobody will know who you are and what you do. There are millions of mediocre people. There are millions of average people. There are millions of below average people. There are millions of highly successful people. Your content and, like, your actual, the meat of what you've got going on just needs to be authentic. But if you don't get good at sales and marketing, nobody's going to know. And if nobody knows, you don't make money as an entrepreneur, period. So in this book, Go for No, it's centered around the direct sales space, but ultimately, I challenge you guys to take this and apply it to anything that you go and do, because ultimately it just switches your focus on the process versus the result. Majority of people, they pride themselves on the result so much that when they don't hit it, they crash out. But if you pride yourself on the process, you can wake up and love the process every single day. What happens is you end up going way further than the people who are priding themselves on the result. And the trick to businesses is outlasting everybody else. If you are an outlier and if you outlast everybody who quits in the process, you naturally become one of the most successful people doing whatever you're doing. So in this book, it's called Go for No. He literally just talks about focusing on the no's instead of the yeses. Because here's the thing, if you go find 4 yeses and I go find 100 no's, I'll win every single day for 2 reasons. Here's why. One, if my closing ratio is 2 out of 10, and I went and found 100, oh, quit playing with me. I just popped in 20 people while you just popped in 4. You got 4 yeses. I got 20 yeses by just focusing on the no's instead of focusing on the yeses. Because in that, you got taken out the game once you went through a slew of 20 no's because you were focused on the yeses. So in that, one's the first reason I won. Second reason I won is because as we go forward and continuously create results, if I focus on the no's, what happens is I keep open lines of communication. I keep also eyeballs on exactly what I'm doing, and I've got more eyeballs on what I'm doing than people who focus on the yeses. It's just the reality of the situation because I'm focused on doing more because you're obviously going to get way more no's than yeses. So in that, if I have more eyeballs watching me and I go create results over the next 90 days, I'm naturally going to win because people's minds change just like their situation changes. So in that, you'll have a lot of following up that you can do as well. This is a blueprint to IMD is what the video is called. Shout out Julio Acosta for that one. But he literally just walked through. Like if I go show 1,000 people and you go show 200 because you were focused on the 5 yeses that you got, and then you try to start helping them show their people, what happens is I went and showed 800 more people than you. And over the next 365, all 800 of them are getting started. And it was just sheer numbers. So in that, when it comes to sales, you literally just got to understand your process and everything that you're doing and how you create results for your business. Those sales might be streams, they might be subscribers, they might be viewers, they might be people inside of your community, whatever the case may be. They might be clientele that you're trying to go and build up. If you can focus on the no, you will literally focus on going and exposing more people to your product or service. Period. You won't get so hung up on when somebody says yes either, which essentially, if y'all have ever met a successful person, they don't care whether you say yes or no. Welcome to the team. Let's get it cracking. Come on, show me the results. Here's the product or service. It works just like it worked for every other yes. It's going to work for you. There's nothing special. You know what I'm saying? Do your thing. That's how successful people operate because they're focused on going through the process versus the results, and the results become a byproduct of perfecting your process. So shout out this book. I'm really excited. I haven't read it in a long time, but for where we're at and where we're headed as a business as well, outside of this empowerment space and this education space, oh, it's going to do a 10x for our business. So I'm excited, truly. You can find this book inside of the digital library. If you go on the tgfnetwork.com site, you can slide to the EDU suite. It's in there. If you're inside of the app, it's in there as well, right on the education, excuse me, right on the book club button. I think it might actually be on the education tab too, but I know it's on the book club tab for sure. But inside of library number 1, there will be a folder that says network marketing. Inside of that folder, there will be a book that says go for no. Download that thing. If you don't have the drive to the digital library, because I sent it out 2 weeks ago on a book club call, if you don't have it, send me a text and I will send it directly to you if you don't have access to our platform. So in that, let's get it cracking. It's game time. I love y'all. Let's take it to the moon. Everybody who watches this recording, I hope y'all had as much fun with this book as we did. It's game on. Shout out Norman, Vincent, Peale for Power of Positive Thinking. And we're going to close this thing out. And I will chop it up with y'all soon. Justin, I'll shoot you a call. God bless. Let's multiply.